Oh, how you doing? Thanks for doing this today.
Oh, no problem. What's up, Dave?
Not too much. Just first of all, with all this, are all the kids home safe? Was everybody able to get back to their homes, or are a few still on campus?
No, everybody's home, and everybody got home. Um, I think it was everybody was out of here by Friday of 3 weeks ago. Yeah, about 3 weeks ago, everybody was home by that Friday. Most of them were home. Most of them were home. I think Bree came back that Thursday that it was announced. She was actually back on the plane Thursday night. Destiny Henderson could not get herself together on Thursday, so she left Friday morning. And then I think Destiny Littleton had an appointment on Friday, and then she left later that afternoon on Friday.
Okay, our next question is going to come from Greg Hadley. Greg, you might have muted yourself, maybe. Oh.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, there you are.
Sorry about that. Yeah, Donna, how have you been able to process the end of the season? I know you've talked a lot about how special this team was. Have you kind of come to terms with how it all ended, though?
I have. I mean, I think it's as you talk through it, and obviously I've talked to different people, just media people, that you're able to get it out, and you don't have to hold anything in, as far as just reflecting. I'm over it. Obviously, if you turn on the news and you see how many people are impacted by this, sports plays a small role, a very small role in what's happening in the overall scheme of the impact of COVID-19. So I'm moving on to next year, just trying to utilize this time that we have to just think about the possibility of next year, just trying to create championship behavior through virtual meetings. We're talking a lot with our staff. We don't have as many meetings, but we do have weekly meetings regarding recruiting and the state of our program. And then we have a weekly meeting with our entire program, that's including all staff members and all of our players.
Next question is for Pete Iacobelli.
Hey, Dawn, I hope you're well. I hope everybody on the staff is well. Everybody on the call, I hope we're all doing okay through this. You won an SEC regular season title and a tournament title. Do you consider this a championship season? Are you guys national champions?
I've heard a lot of people talk about whether the national championship should be given to anyone. And obviously, the NCAA shut that down. But here's the thing, Pete. We're programmed to play our best basketball just in case the bottom falls out. And we never thought the bottom would fall out, but it did. So if the last team standing at the number one team in the country, undisputed, it's probably disputed by some people, but our resume, what we were able to do, if you had to give out a national championship, then we played up to that. We played up to being the number one team in the country. And I did hear some people talk about if they were the number one team in the country and they wouldn't be, they would have had more national championships. Well, you got a chance to play in the NCAA tournament, but us not being able to play in the NCAA tournament, if it's all said and done, which was the end of the season, then yes, I do think we should be national champions because we don't have a tournament. Our tournament was the preseason, the non-conference, the conference, the conference tournament. And for what we had done throughout that entire season, we had the best record in the country. We played the best teams in the country. We played the best. We were the number one in RPI. We weren't number one in strength and schedule, but for who we had to go toe-to-toe with, and it was a pretty challenging season, and the bottom fell out, why not? I mean, a national championship trophy was made. It's sitting somewhere.
All right, Coach, our next question from Matt Dowell. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Coach, just wondering your reaction to the Olympics being canceled, and was Team USA pretty vocal about not wanting to go to Tokyo in 2020?
The Olympics were postponed.
Excuse me, yeah, sorry.
Yes, we will play next year, and I think the athletes had every right of not wanting to go with the uncertainty of COVID-19. I surely did not want to go, considering the last time we had the Olympic Games in Rio, I picked up something that lingered on for 3 years. So I did not want to go there and put my health at risk anymore, and it took me 3 years to pretty much overcome that. So I was on high alert when it came to going anywhere. I mean, staying here is a health hazard, meaning in our country. So, but I know I can control the controllables if I'm staying put here in my house.
Next one is from Candace Martino. Go ahead, Candace.
Hey, Coach. I'm from a local CBS affiliate in Myrtle Beach. Just quick question with the WNBA draft next week. What has communication been like with Harris and Harrigan, and what has their life been like since the end of season, if you are in contact with them at all?
Candace, y'all still out there on the beaches in Myrtle Beach?
No, they closed them last week. So.
I've been in contact a lot with Ty. I've been kind of helping her through the process of selecting a representative, an agent. And her mom are handling that. Kiki was supposed to call me about some agent talk a few days ago. So I mean, I'm giving them their space to go through this process. Ty wants a little bit more hands-on. Her and her family, they want a little bit more hands-on on navigating through the agent process. I think Kiki's at the end of her agent process, so I think she wants to discuss that. But I mean, they're resilient, so they've moved on to the next phase of their lives, which they're supposed to, and getting ready for the WNBA draft. I do believe Ty will be drafted just from the talks to different WNBA coaches and general managers. I mean, Ty is anywhere from 4 to 8 projected. Kiki's stock is rising as we get closer to the draft. And some of them have her in the first round, so I'm hoping all that is true for both of them because they deserved it. They deserve it, not because I coached them, but because of their body of work and what they were able to do within the 4-year career they had here in South Carolina.
Okay, next question from Thomas Grant.
Yes, Coach, this is a 2-part question. One, talking about seniors, if the NCAA had allowed them to have another year eligibility, do you think they would have returned? And also looking ahead to next year, of the players that are returning next year, just where does your scholarship stand?
So if the NCAA would have allowed the seniors to come back, if there weren't a WNBA season, I do think they would have come back. And as far as our scholarships, well, we got plenty of scholarships. You got anybody that you think can help us win a championship? I think we have 4. We got 11 on roster as we speak.
Okay, next question from Chantel.
Hey, Coach. Hope everything's going all right. You talked about how you've been able to kind of move on and look ahead to next year, and Ty and Kiki have obviously been able to do the same. Just have you been able to talk to your younger players? Because there's obviously a lot of talk and simulations and speculation on what could have, would have, should have happened this year. How do you kind of, get them to not really internalize all of that and get on that page and move on to next year too?
I think what's good about it. We had a meeting on. I think we meet every Tuesday, so we've had two meetings. Um, we had one this past Tuesday, and then a Tuesday of last week. And Tuesday of last week is when we closed this chapter of our season down. I mean, it was where we just got everything out. Um, and they're really in a good place. I mean, we put closure to it. We allow people to say their piece. We've allowed them to answer three questions. One was what are they worried about? What are they working on? And what it is that they want in the future. And everybody in our program answered that. And a lot of it had to do with they're worried about, a lot of them were worried, a lot of the players were worried about when they could get back on campus. And they're resilient. Once we put it to rest, we're just working on moving forward. Obviously, they're bummed that they didn't get a chance to play in the NCAA tournament, and they're bummed for Ty and Kiki not given an opportunity to finish their careers off playing in the NCAA tournament. But they're young. They know they have years left to experience that, and they're looking forward to the future NCAA tournament games.
Okay, we're going to come back to Dave Cloninger.
Dawn, you mentioned the national championship and potential claiming it. Have you and Ray had any conversations yet about how best to honor this team?
I think it would be unfair to have those conversations at this point. I think Ray and President Caslin, they both have their hands full with the state of our athletics department and, and our university overall. There are, people that are being laid off, and those are quite more important than discussing how we honor this year's team.
Okay, we're back to Greg Hadley.
Yeah, Dawn, just looking at the roster management part, that going back to that, you said 11 players. Does that mean Olivia Thompson's on scholarship now?
True. No, she's not on scholarship now.
Okay, and then
we have 5.
okay, and then going off of that, are you looking to potentially add some more through the transfer market? Is that the plan?
Yeah, that's a part of our, it's a part of how we have to navigate through recruiting now, the transfer portal, and how many student athletes put their name in that. So yes, we are on the market for some players that we feel that could fit and on our roster and our team.
Okay, for Mitch Brown. Go ahead, Mitch.
Hey, Coach. Hope you're doing well. Obviously, it was kind of a surprise move, some will say, Vic Schaefer leaving Mississippi State to head to Texas. I'm curious to know what your guys' relationship was like, and obviously it's a change of landscaping in the SEC coaching carousel.
I think Vic and I had a pretty good relationship. We didn't talk much outside of playing each other or at the SEC coaches spring meetings. I'm happy for Vic. Obviously he gets a chance to get back to where, he's a Texan. He gets a chance to go back to his home state, and I think he will do extremely well in the Big 12.
Next question from Mike Gillespie.
Hey, Coach. Hope you're doing well. Just real quick, being a former point guard yourself, how good can Ty Harris be in the WNBA, and what does she bring to a franchise?
You know, we've all known Ty to be a tremendous point guard. I mean, we've watched her over the past 4 years, and she's gotten better each and every year. I really don't think Ty has reached her full potential. I think that the better players Ty is surrounded by, the better she plays. I mean, we pretty much saw that in her freshman year, and her senior year, and the 2 seasons in between. I mean, they were good players, but when Ty's able to lead, when she's able to be heard, she plays her best. And I just feel like she understands that now. I think she's empowered by what she's been able to do over her 4-year career and dissecting where she is most impactful. And that is when she's surrounded by great players, which she will be on the next level. She's a big point guard. She can shoot it. She can get to the basket. She can direct. I just think that the WNBA and their style of play is very beneficial to her style of play. And I just think the sky's the limit. It wouldn't be surprising if she's up there for Rookie of the Year. I wouldn't be surprised by that.
Back to Pete Iacobelli.
Dawn, a couple things. You said, the team's in the market for people you think can help towards next year. How difficult is what we're going through? Does it make trying to bring people in and just even talk to recruits and things like that? And 2, I can't imagine you being happy locked down anywhere. So what's your day-to-day like? It must be driving you crazy.
It is difficult. I mean, we do a lot of this type of stuff. I'm tired of talking. I mean, I've done more talking than I ever have over this past 3 weeks. But it's very difficult. We do a lot of FaceTiming with recruits. We do a lot of texting with recruits. We do get on the phone and call them. I mean, it is so unpredictable about if even these recruits will be allowed to come on campus to do an official visit. I mean, fortunately for us, it's a couple of players that we recruited out of high school. So there is some type of relationship there. But obviously, when you bring someone to campus, your current players will be allowed to connect with them. So we lose that opportunity because I think that's probably one of the best features of our team this particular era. I mean, our players, they want to know. They're texting me. Every time somebody goes into a portal or into the transfer portal, they're like, "Yeah, do we want them? Can we recruit them? What can I do?" I mean, this is the type of team that we have. They are very invested in our programs, the now and the future. So hopefully we can get them to connect, with our potential recruits, but we can't even do that because we're not allowed to share their phone numbers or give out our recruits' phone numbers. So, they got to do the best they can with social media and trying to connect with them. What do? I do 3 things. Okay, I exercise. I get a chance to exercise every day, which is pretty darn good and relaxing, and that's cool because I had, I bought a Peloton bike at Christmas, and shamefully I probably only got 2 workouts in after I got the bike. But I don't think I missed a day. Actually, I've been going pretty strong the last 2 weeks, so I don't think I missed a day. I do go to Costco a lot more than I usually do, and then I go by and check on the house that I'm building. And those are really the things that I do. I do have a couple of friends over. Beverly Smith, the softball coach. We get a mean game of dominoes in over the past couple of weeks for a small wager. Small wager. That's it.
Next question for Josh Hyber.
Hey, Don. Hope all is well. Just a two-parter about Kiki. You said that her draft stock is kind of varied. You heard some people say she, is a first rounder. What have you heard specifically from teams about her? And how much did that SEC tournament really help her stock rise? And also, with her size being 6'2", do you think she'll have to play more maybe on the perimeter as a pro?
Yeah, I think Kiki's stock was rising just during the season. Her three-point shooting percentage, her overall percentage, her ability to, just be efficient. Kiki, the times that she did get a chance to shoot the basketball, more times than not, she made shots. And they were from all over the place. So that's appealing to the next level. I did have a couple of conversations with some coaches about, can she play on the perimeter? Is she just strictly a 4? And when I compare her to some of the other players in her position, I do think she could slide over to the 3 and it's a small forward because she got plenty of opportunity to play against the likes of small lineups, like she played Dungy extremely well. And, she had to play Rickea Jackson. She's not small, but she's a prototype small forward in the WNBA. So I think with her playing against some of those players this year, she showcased her talent in being able to defend on the perimeter while also not losing out on blocking shots. So I think that is what's making her stock rise, and just her ability to be as versatile as anyone, especially with her height and her athleticism and her scoring ability.
Okay, we're going to come back to Chantel.
Coach, just kind of piggybacking off of that, I remember earlier this season you were saying Ty wasn't really in those conversations about the first round. Just what's it like for you now to see, her being projected as high as 4th, and what do you think changed? And then just secondly, what do you think it says about where the program is right now to potentially be sending 2 more in the first round?
I think sometimes, when people who do those mock drafts, I think they just look at who are being written about. Ty isn't one that has been written about a whole lot. Kiki, was never written about. And sometimes you have to change the narrative. Sometimes you have to take it upon yourself to put your kids out in front and let it be known that they have some special talent. And I say this in that when the narrative isn't about the players who are producing in women's basketball, they lose earning power. And I know, some WNBA coaches, they tell me don't worry about mock drafts, they're not really right. But they're mock drafts. And that's a narrative. It's a narrative. And if your kids aren't a part of that narrative in mock drafts, or your kids aren't a part of the narrative of overall what's good about women's basketball, and they're really good and they deserve it. Now, if our kids didn't deserve it, I'm the first one to kind of hide under a rock and say, yo, they don't deserve what's out there because they're not a top 10 player in the country, or top 20 or top 25, which our kids weren't, according to some people who write the narrative of women's basketball. So does it feel good? Absolutely. Did it help that we were the number 1 team in the country for most of the season? Absolutely. So sometimes you have to make people pivot and talk about you a little bit. And if that has to be influenced by myself, by content that our Gamecock Productions put out, then we have to do that. I know moving forward, if the narrative isn't about who deserves it on our side of things, we're gonna write our own narrative and we're gonna push it out. And I don't say that, while I have you guys on the phone, you guys do a great job at covering our program, like you have for years. And I don't have an issue with our local media. I have an issue with our national media who choose to write about a narrative and stick with it, even though it doesn't fit all the time. There is a lot of room for great basketball stories that we missed this year. And we gotta, coaches gotta speak up. Coaches definitely, if you don't, nobody's gonna talk about your kids. And I try to not only elevate our kids, but elevate the game. Because there are a lot of incredible stories that we missed all season long. And if I hear something on Twitter or see something on Twitter, I'm gonna say something. Like I think Doug Feinberg said something about the Ivy League, and I think her name is Belair. I don't know her last name, but I just said, I tweeted last night. If this was talked about during the season, then this would be old news. But this is new news, and we're in April. I mean, the seasons would have been over whether we played the NCAA tournament or not. But now these little stories, now that nobody has anything to do and they got to fill up, a whole day's work of women's basketball. Now we're hearing about stories, and that's so unfair to the player, and it's so unfair to the game. So hopefully we'll get it right in the future.
Next question.
Sorry for the long-winded answer, but.
Next question for Matt Dowell.
Dawn, just with everything going on, I'm just wondering, when basketball's taken away from you, for someone who has played it their whole life, and your staff and your team, has this moment in time made you appreciate the game more than ever before?
I'm always going to appreciate the game. There's always things that you can do to stay in tune with what's going on, or what can happen, or what should have happened, or what we have in our future. I love basketball. I mean, it is my passion, is what, I built my entire life around. It was been first in my life, meaning, tangible. Obviously, the Lord has been first, but it is the driving force behind what I do every single day. And still, but sometimes you got to pivot and you got to think about the impact of what's really happening out here in our world. And it's okay to slide it to the side, and just make sure that everyone's loved ones are in a good place and not impacted health-wise. I think mentally, it takes a toll on all of us. But the game will come back at some point. I don't know in what capacity, but it will come back, and we will love on it like we always have. But I hope it happens soon. And if that happens soon, then obviously we got a hold of erasing what the impact of COVID-19 has had on us.
Question from Dave Cloninger.
Dawn, we didn't get to talk about Destiny Littleton a lot this year because she was sitting out and everything, but how has her rehab gone? How are her feet? And, where do you see her fitting in on next year's team?
Destiny Littleton is slowly getting back. Obviously we got time. Craig Oates and Molly Benetti, they are doing FaceTime calls with her, rehab. She sent me a video of her moving out on the basketball court out in San Diego. She said it isn't much. in her video, but it's something. I mean, we only remember her as being on the scooter all last season, but now we see her upright and moving and dribbling the basketball and driving and shooting. I think she's going to make a huge impact on our program. Her ability to stretch the floor. She's a communicator out there on the floor, and she has experience because she's had a couple of years at Texas, and hopefully when she's able to get out there and play full time, she'll have the best part of her college career during this upcoming season.
All right, Coach, looks like we have 2 more questions. First one to Greg Hadley.
Yeah, Don, you talked so much about how chemistry and focus was important to this year's team and how the seniors kind of implemented that. I was just curious how confident you feel that can keep on going now that they're moving on. Basically, how much the culture is in place that they instilled.
That's a good question. I mean, from the 2 meetings that we've had, and just some of my other sidebar conversations with some of the players. I mean, our future is bright. We're in a great place. I've never been a part of a collection of human beings that really they get it. Like they check up on me. You all right? You good? I mean, I'm the one that's supposed to be there, checking on them and just making sure that they're okay and they're in a good place. But a lot of them have just reached out and asked me if I'm all right. And that's really never happened. It's happened before because Asia used to do it from time to time, and Lisa Welch used to do it. But it's multiple players. It's not just one. Back then it was just one or 2. But it seems like it's almost half the team that's really they're missing it. They're missing being in Columbia, South Carolina. Now, when we were recruiting them, and it was during the school year, they all wanted to go home. They break their necks trying to get home for a day or so. But now they're trying to break their necks getting back to Columbia, and we don't know when that will be. But it's great to feel that they want to get back and start getting going with what we need to do on the court.
All right, Coach, looks like this is the last question. It's from Josh Heiber.
Hey, Don, I have 2 quick ones if you don't mind. First, you mentioned obviously the future of the team, and especially in a time like this with, Ty and Kiki preparing for the draft and pretty much gone from your team already. Are there players or a player that you have seen kind of take a leadership role in gathering the team around and leading the text chains or anything like that? And secondly, obviously the other day would have been the national championship game. Did you think about that at all? We could have been there, or, thought about, we could have been in New Orleans right now instead of, quarantined in my house?
First, answer your first question. Victoria was a captain for our team last year. So she is leading the young group, but the young group is, very aware. They are very aware of what needs to take place. And they are, just overall, this team is quite incredible. I wish I could document, what's happening. And that's probably something that we should do. Just document the conversations that they have with each other, the conversations that they have with our coaching staff and our everyone that makes up our program. They just say things that you just don't think young people should know or be aware of at this stage of the game. So all of that is intact. This team only wants to win. They want to win a national championship. That's all they talked about. They want to win a national championship. And, Sunday when, somebody would have been playing in a national championship game, I did think about us, but and then you read on Twitter, our fans they reenact everything. They just put you in the moment of being in New Orleans and, all the things that they would have been experiencing and being at the game. So I mean that got me thinking. But at the same time, you turn on the news and it's like, people are continuing to die from it. So that kind of jolts you back to your reality. I do think we'll get a chance to at least compete for a national championship in the near future, because I believe in the players, and I believe in them because of not their talent, but because of their awareness, and because of the togetherness that they have. Their approach is incredible. They just really have an insatiable desire to get better and to compete and to win. And when you have that in young people, the sky is the limit.
All right, Coach, it looks like that is everybody's question, unless anybody wants to last minute raise their hand. But thank you so much, everyone, for participating. Thank you, Coach. And we'll talk again soon, I guess.
Thank you, guys. Everybody be safe. Be safe out there. Stay at
Thanks,
home.
Don. Hope Champ's doing okay.
Thanks, Don.
Champ is doing great.